Assalamu alaikum everyone. The peace be with you all. Guess what? Today is our crafting day. Just like I promised you guys, we are going to be making a little scarf today. Mr. Professor, do you have the needles? You have them? Thanks. Like, he's coming. Yeah, he just has to take a little while. Hold on.
Are these the knitting needles that you wanted, Miss Hooseinny?
Yeah, they are actually. They're really, really nice. Yeah, these are my 2 knitting needles. Yeah, 2 of them. You'll need 2 of them. The knitting needles that we are going to be using today are, can you read this number for us, please, Mr. Professor?
It's looking like a 9.
Yes, it has a 9. So some of my needles, they'll say 8, some of them will say 7, and that just tells you the size of your needle, how thick your needle is going to be. So that's my number 9 needle.
Oh, you know what? I was visiting my friend Furbo.
You have a friend named Furbo?
Yeah. And he was really, I told him about our knitting day, and he got really sad, and he was like, "Oh, Mr. Professor, I've never had a scarf in my whole life, and sometimes winter can get really cold." And I was like, you know what? That's really interesting. How about you visit us and we make a scarf for you?
You brought a friend? Oh, that's so nice. Where is he?
That's a good question. Let me just call him. Oh, Furbo. Yep, Furbo. Yeah, can you come? All right, Furbo. Come on, you can do it, Furbo. Don't be afraid. Come. Oh, Furbo. All right, I'm coming to get you.
I guess Mr. Professor is going to get Furbo. Yeah. I guess we have to wait a little while.
Come on. You could do it.
Thanks. I needed the help. I was a little nervous. Oh, who are you? Hi, I am Miss Hooseinny. Who are you? You must be Furball. I'm not Furball. Who's Furball? Mr. Professor.
Uh-huh.
Your friend, his name isn't Furball.
Yeah, it is. Hey, Furbo. Yep.
Every time Mr. Professor calls you Furball, you kind of say yes to him. But when I call you Furball, you say that that's not your name.
It's not my name.
It's not your name. Okay. All right. What is your name?
My name is Furbell. But I keep reminding Mr. Professor he doesn't fix it. So I just leave him to call me Furball. But please don't call me Furball. My name is Furbell.
Mr. Professor, have you been doing that all that time?
I'm so sorry for calling you Furball, but I really thought that was your name. Why didn't you correct me?
I tried to, but you just didn't listen.
I am so very sorry. Oh my gosh. Oh.
Okay, guys. It's really great that you could join us today, Mr. Furball. Sorry. Furbell. Mr. Professor, he told me a really interesting story. I bet you this morning that you're joining us because you really wanted a scarf because during the winters it was really, really cold and you never had one before in your whole entire life. That's right. Can you really make one for me? I think I can. Now, the great thing is I have lots of different colors. I mean, we have possibilities. You know what I'm saying?
Possibilities? That's great.
Here I have some light blue. And then here's my dark blue. So I've got these colors, and I have a pink color, yeah, like this. And I have this multicolored one. And I also have orange, but it's just a little bit of orange because I really like the orange. And as you can see from my earlier video, I did use my orange for a neck warmer, and I did use my orange for another leg warmer. So I don't really have a lot left, but I do love it, and it's super cool, and I think you guys may really like the orange too. We can incorporate it, so all you have to do is tell me what you like. I think I'd like the I think that dark blue is looking really nice. This one? And what about your tassels? I mean, the little dangly things at the bottom of your scarf, do you want them to be blue too? Tassels. Maybe that colorful one. I really like that colorful one. This one? Yeah. You know, I've got a really great idea, and I'm not sure if I could actually do it, but you'll let me know. Can we have the dark blue at the top, and then can we have like the colorful tassel, and then can we have that orange mixed in with the colorful tassel? Like, so you want like colorful tassel with orange tassel mixed in? So you have like a mix? Yeah, and can we have like some of that blue tassel mixed in? That other blue tassel? This one? I love it. That's a great idea. You know, when I see great ideas, I just have to say them because great ideas are amazing. You know, it just shows that people use their creativity. That was a really creative idea. Yeah, I loved it. And it's your scarf. You want to personalize it the way that you want to personalize it. That's cool. I like that. Very, very nice. Okay, so the next step is to show you how to use those needles. Okay, so we have our 2 needles. That's very, very important because we will need them. And this very important needle called yarn needles. We obviously have our yarn. So take your first needle. This is your first needle. And what we're going to do, we're going to put little loops on our needle. Everybody does it a little differently. So this part is called casting on. So you're casting on your yarn. And it's just a loopy part. I call it the loopy part. So I take my yarn, and I'm just going to wrap it around my finger. So I'm going to put my finger underneath like that. So here I have the short end, and I have the longer end. This is a big long end that's there. And I'm just going to take the short end, and I'm going to wrap it around like that to make a little loop. So this part of the loop has the single line. See, it just has the single part of the yarn there. And that's the part we're going to put onto the needle. See that? See that? It's going to slide underneath there, and then I'm just going to tighten it. So this is the part where I'm going to pull it up, and then the bottom parts, I'm going to tighten it like that, and then I'm going to hold it there with my thumb. Okay? Now this is the part that's going to be tricky, and I'm going to wrap my finger around again like that. I'm going to put the single part of the yarn on top of the needle, and then I'm going to pull the longer piece, not too tight, because you'll see if it's too tight, then it'll be hard to start your knits after, your stitches after. So we've got 1, 2. Also, we're going to do a little loop here, and then we're going to stick that loop on top again, and we're just going to pull really gently. Okay, not too hard. And as you can see, we have our loops forming. These are our little loops. So they're going to be our base for our stitches that are going to come up. So I've got 3. I've got 4, 5. And then if it's getting really close to the tip, you just want to push them back a bit. So that's okay. 5, and 1 more will be 6. Then I'm going to do 7 and 8. Don't be distressed if they all fall apart and you have to rewatch this part. It's okay, because every time you practice something that's really hard every time you try and every time you do it again, you get better and better and better. So if it's something new that you're learning, don't be afraid. You will get it. You just have to keep practicing. And as I always say, practice, try your best, and always pray. And always pray and ask for help to make things easy for you. Okay, looks awesome. Time for step 2. Now step 2, obviously we used our first needle. Now we're going to use our second needle. All right, let me grab it. Here it is. So here we have our little tail, and he is going to continuously be with us. He's going to follow us along all the way until our scarf is completed, okay? So here we have our first loop. See, this is our first loop. So we're going to work through each of our loops. Remember how many loops we had? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 loops. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to point. Remember how we have these lines here? I'm going to point them downwards. So they're going to point down towards my table. And then I'm going to stick my needle in between them. See, here's my loop. And I'm going to put it through that loop. See that coming out there? And you see how they're hugging each other at the back? They're sliding and they're touching. The two needles are touching there. You see that? And we're going to come through. Now we have 2 needles and they're side by side. They look like scissors. So this is the back needle. It doesn't have any loops on it. This is the front needle. So this one sits on top of this back needle and it has the loops on it. So I'm going to hold both of them in one hand. Now this is the tricky part. I'm going to take my yarn and I'm going to go around this back needle. I'm going to take him, I'm going to bring him forward so he's pointing away from me. I'm going to wrap him around that back needle and in between my little, you see my little scissors shape, my V shape? I'm going to go in between the V shape and back towards me. See, there's a piece of yarn in between these two. See how this yarn that I put in between the V? I'm going to reverse my back needle, catch it with the point, and then reverse it back. This is what it looks like on the other end. And I made a loop. And then what I do, because I have this new loop on this new needle, I'm going to slide him off the first needle. And now I have a new loop. See, look at that loop. Look at that loop that I have on the second needle. And I'm going to go through, I'm going to do the exact same thing to get all of these loops onto this side. And when we get to this last end, you see how it's easy for this one to come apart? It's very easy for him to come apart. We're just going to hold this tail down and then we're going to allow our second needle to come through. So this is a little tricky part. This is a tricky part you need. And you'll need practice for it to get really good at it. And then you're going to slide him off. You're going to hold that end there. That's okay. That's okay that he's there. Then I'll show you when I fix all my stitches up. So I line them up because when I was knitting they kind of got all twisted up. You see we have a line of stitches that formed. Do you see that? There's a line. Yeah, that's cool. Look, 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 look. And then so this one we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put it on this side. And he's going to be like that first needle. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. Alright, so I'm going to show you something too that's really neat. You're like Noodle and you're like, oh, I did it wrong. You're like the farmer's wife and you're like, I don't like the color. And you want to remove it and start again. You can do that. So we're just going to remove our knitting and then we can start again. And all we have to do is take this end And we just go like this. Boom! And then we just start again. I will tell you, I have done that many, many times before. When I first started, I would constantly cast them on, see that it didn't look right, take it off. Cast it on, it didn't look right, pull them back off again, and it's okay. It's okay. And that's the great thing about knitting. And I had to keep practicing, and it's okay because that's part of how we learn. It's an amazing journey. So you're not alone. We're all with you. We've all gone through it. I'm going to put my loop set on again. Remember, I need 8 to make sure that Belle has a really nice scarf. And I'm going to put them back on and continue knitting my scarf for Belle. Oh, Miss Hooseinny, can I watch you knit? I really want to see how my scarf is going to come along. Well, of course you can for Belle. And you just want to sit there and watch? Yes! That would make me so happy. Okay, great. Well, you take a seat and I will knit. Oh, great. Okay, so you may have noticed that my scarf is getting longer, like this. But I don't know if it's long enough for Belle. So I have to measure it on Belle to see if the width is long enough to cover his little snout and his neck so he's nice and warm in the wintertime. And then also I want to measure the length and see if it's long enough. I just don't like it like this. I need the length of my scarf to wrap around my neck and come in the front. And that's really, I love it like that because it keeps my neck warm and I can bring it over my nose and it will keep my nose warm, and then it'll come in the front and then it'll keep my chest a little bit warmer too in the winter time. For Belle, are you ready?
Yes, Miss Hooseinny, I am ready to be measured.
Great, because I've got my scarf to measure on you. All right, so stay nice and still. Pull in your snout like you told me to. All right, and let's see how long this may be. So because when I measure, I don't want my scarf to be at the point because it could fall off. I'm going to scoot it all the way down so it's at the back so it won't fall off. And then I'm going to measure it onto Belle. Ready for Belle?
Yep.
All right, Belle, here we go. So this is my scarf, and this is Belle. I'm gonna wrap it around. Here we go, wrapping it around. Now, do you see it just meets at the back? But with Belle's scarf, we want it to come around and then hang in the front too as well. So I need to knit probably twice as much as what I have here. So I have to continue knitting to make it longer and longer and longer so that it can wrap around Belle's neck and come back into the front. All right, I'm going to continue knitting. Here I go. Well, for Belle, look! Looks like if your scarf is all done, look how long it is! Now all we need are the tassels, Miss Hooseinny. You've got that right, for Belle. We do. Look, we don't have the tassels on. And, look, our scarf is still on the needle, for Belle. We need to get it off without losing any of the stitches. If I pull out my needle right now, whoa, it's going to come out of all these little loops. And what's going to happen is the loops are going to start to unravel. You know what? We're going to lose our scarf. So what we have to do is we have to do something called casting off or binding off. So we're going to cast off remember how we casted on our loops? Now we have to cast off our loops. And so I'm going to show you how to do that to lock off these stitches so that they won't run away and then they'll stay in their place. All right, so to cast off, what you need to do is you need to stitch 2 of these loops onto this needle, onto your second needle. So I'll show you how to do that. So here I go. I'm going to put, just like normal, I'm going to stitch 2 together. Here we go. 1. I'm going to do it again. 2. All right. Do you see how I have 2 on this needle and I have the rest on this needle? What I'm going to do, this is a little bit of the tricky part. I'm going to take this needle and I'm going to go to the back loop. Do you see that back loop there? All right, I'm going to put this needle into the back loop. And then I'm going to bring this loop over top the front loop like this. Ba-dum! Now this loop is casted off. He knotted over this top loop, this loop that was at the back. It tied it off. So we're going to do another one. We're going to loop, move another loop to the second needle. And then we're going to do it again, where we go to the back loop here, and we're going to bring it over this loop. So we're going to take it from the back, and we're going to bring it over. You see? It's kind of like tying it off. So I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to keep doing the same thing until I get to my last loop. So here I go again, and I'm going to reverse it back over. I'm going to take another loop, put it onto the second needle, take my back loop, and put it right over top that first loop again. Ba-dum! And then I'm going to continue on. Doing the same thing. 2 loops on one needle, reversing over. 2 loops on one needle, reversing over. And my last loop, to make 2 loops on my second needle, and reversing over. Ba-dum! All right, so I have this one loop left. What I'm going to do, I'm going to snip my yarn. I'm going to snip my yarn off. Bye, because I don't need it connected to the ball anymore. I don't need that. So all I need is my last loop with the little tail that I just cut off. You see this tail? He's not connected to the ball of yarn anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach. Do you remember I had this plastic needle? my plastic needle here. I'm going to take the end of my tail and I'm going to put it through my needle, just like that. Ba-dum. I'm going to take my needle and where the loop is, I'm going to put it underneath so it looks like this. And I'm going to go through. And now I can reverse my needle out, just like that. And then I'm going to give it a nice tug. Okay, so you may be wondering, what are we going to do now that we're at the end? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to tie it off. We're going to take our needle, we're going to put it through our end loop here. We're going to pull it through so that we have this loop. Now we're not going to pull it all the way through. We're just going to pull it in a little bit so we have this loop. Then when we have our loop, we're going to put our needle through that loop. Do you see that? We're going to put our needle through that loop. Da-dum! And then we're going to pull it until the loop gets smaller and we'll tie off at the end. So I'm going to just pull it really tight there. And then I'm going to do it one more time. See, there is my first knot, and then I'm going to go to this other loop here. And then do the same thing. I'm going to have my loop. See that nice big loop? Pull it, take my needle, put it through the loop, pull my tail through, and then keep going until my loop closes. I'm just going to take my fingers to pull the loop in there. There, that's good. And then I'm going to go back again through that same knot, just to double knot it. I'm going to do the same method. We're just going to pull it through to create a loop. We're not going to close it off fully. We're going to take our needle, go through that loop again, and bring in that tail. And then we're going to pull it through. Pull. Double knotted it. We're going to make it nice and tight. Oh, good. And that is done. And then I'm just going to trim that off. Bye-bye. Trim. And that is the end of our scarf. Look at that. We have a whole scarf that we made for Belle. Now our scarf needs some tassels. All right, for Belle. Now we are measuring our tassels here for Belle. I don't see any tassels, Miss Hooseinny. Yeah, I know that. I know that there's no tassels right now. All we're going to do, we're just measuring to see how long we want our tassels. Like this is this is 0 centimeters. And then this is all the way up to 10 centimeters. Do you want that too long? That's too long, Miss Hooseinny. That's going to tangle up. I'm going to trip on that. Okay, how about 4? Yeah, the 4 is looking a lot better. I think the 4 looks good. Yeah, maybe 2, 3. 3? No, I'm going to go with the 4. I think I like the 4 the best. 10 is way too long. 4 looks really, really good. I like that. Yeah. Ooh, I'm so excited. It's looking so good. I can't wait to try it on with all the tassels. This is going to be great. So Belle wanted his tassels to go all the way from 0, 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 4 over here. So what we're going to do is, because a tassel, yes, will be 4 centimeters, but we're going to double it. And doubling it means that we need to add another 4. So we're going to go 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'll show you why we need to double the length of our tassels. So for Belle wanted orange. That's one of the colors he wanted. I'm going to go from 0 all the way up to 8. That's my cutoff point, is 8. I'm going to take my trusty scissors and give it a good snip. So you may be wondering, well, why 8, Miss Hooseinny? The back will be 4, and then we need the front to be 4. So together it will be 8. So that's why we needed 8. My tassel isn't going to be with only one little sad piece of yarn. No, we need more than that. So he wanted 4 different colors in his tassel. Now that I have all of my tassels cut for 1 tassel, I'm going to take these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of yarn. I'm going to bring them together so that they're lined up like this. A nice line. And my needle has a long eye. This eye is quite long. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring them together like this, and then I'm going to have them go through my needle. Squishy, squishy, squishy. I'm going to grab them on the other end, and boom! You see they all came through. Isn't that cute? Hello. Okay, so now that I have them all together beautifully and nicely here, I'm going to get the end of my scarf. I'm going to find my 1 stitch. Do you see that first stitch here? First stitch, second stitch. I'm going to go in between the second stitch. There you go, just like that. Then I'm going to pull it through so it's a little bit over like this. See? What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold back 1 set of them like this. I'm going to hold it in my hand, and then the other ones I'm going to pull through. I'm going to pull. So it looks like this. Woohoo! See? 4 centimeters on one side and my 4 centimeters on the other side. That's why we needed 8. So we're just going to pull them so that they're nice and lined up, because we want them nice and straight as we can get them. We're going to bring our scarf nice and straight. We're going to bring our tassels down together. I'm going to take one of these blues with his friend at the back. So I've got my 2 blues here. I'm going to gather them together, and then I'm going to take one end of my blue and I'm going to wrap it around all of my tassels. And then I'm going to take this one and tie it together. I'm going to give it a good tie down. Alright, so here are my tassels. And they're all really nice and put together. But as you can see, they're all different lengths. And they don't look very nice. So what we're going to do is we're going to just trim them. I'm going to trim them to make them all the same size. So I'm just going to go along. I'm going to trim them to give them a little haircut. And that looks a lot better. That's cute. So those are our tassels all done for one end, but on the other end, there's missing pieces. So as you can see, we did 1, 2, 3, 4 tassels on this end. We're going to do the same 4 tassels on the other end. All right, and then we're going to try it on for Belle and see how he likes it.
Wow! Miss Hooseinny, this is great, but... well, where's the end of it? Great question! Bum, 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 da-dum! What? Are these my tassels? They look so awesome! Do you think I could try it on now, Miss Hooseinny? I think that's a really great idea. So let's put it on like that. Bring it around really nicely so you're nice and cozy. You need to be cozy. Then I'm going to take this one and wrap it all the way around. There you go. That looks very nice and cute. Bring it over your ears a bit, because you know what? You need it here. Yeah, I definitely need it here. Look! You look wonderful. I think I'm going to be wearing your scarf quite a bit, you know. Well, thanks. It's wonderful to know. Thank you so much for the wonderful scarf, because you know,
really like it. And it keeps me warm. And it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful too. You can be cozy now in the winter time. Thank you, Miss Hooseinny. You're welcome. Thank you for joining me and Mr. Professor and our new friend for Belle. May the peace be with you all. So until the next time, salam. And thanks for watching.